Welcome back to Legal Quilts. It's been a minute. And happy first day of fall. We'll get to that in a second. First things first, of course, this is the kickoff of Work in Progress Winter, WIP Winter. Just look for that hashtag. Um, and so we're going to be working on a couple of quilts all winter to get them finished before Scrap Summer 3 kicks off. 3. Wow. This is Work in Progress Winter 2. I'm pretty impressed. One of the things we're going to be working on is a quilt along on on a tapestry quilt. I didn't get any votes. That could have been operator error where y'all couldn't get to the survey. And it also turns out that the free account limits you to 10 responses. So I made a command decision and I'm going to do the ocean quilt one, the sea surface temperature tapestry quilt for a couple of reasons. One, it's been niggling at me, and two, it uses fewer colors than the tapestry quilt itself that shows global temperatures. But we're not going to do the full 100 years of it because that would make a really big quilt. Yeah, when you're knitting, you can make it a scarf and only do it so large and stuff, but you don't want a really long quilt that's like, hundreds of inches long. So we're going to do just the last 50 years. Actually, it comes out 51. Oops. So what you're going to, I've placed on my Ko-fi page the fabrics required, how much of each fabric you need, and how many strips of each fabric you're going to need. Don't worry about the strips right now. We're going to do that next time. Right? The colors I've chosen are Kona cotton because one, that's not that expensive. Two, lots of places carry all the Kona cottons or can get them. And three, their colors match over really well to the yarn ones. I left the yarn one up there too in case you're a knitter also. You can knit along and quilt along on this. And so you can see, if you want to find your own fabrics, you can see what the yarn colors are so you can match them to your fabrics. Again, Kona cotton, pretty simple. The other thing, forgot to turn on one thing. Okay. This would have, oh look, you can see me now. Forgot to turn on one of the lights. The Kona cotton, again, you can get those. If you can't get them at your local quilt store, feel free to order them. I got mine from Missouri Star. It's actually arriving today. This is the other reason we're not quilting it today. This will give you time. We'll do it next month, so probably about mid-October. That will give you time to get your fabrics. You can, like I said, use your own colors. I would encourage solids because this is really about the temperature gradients rather than the fabrics themselves. So you really want that to come through rather than any fabrics. Definitely don't want to use large prints. Tone on tone, fine. Very, very small prints, okay. But again, you don't want to lose that temperature gradient. So it's very important that you use the colors that really show the temperature change and go in a sequence. And you don't always get that with some of the patterns because you might, when you're cutting it, get more of the pattern than the color you need, which is the other reason to go with solids. So, having said all that, I said it's the first day of fall, so I thought, let's kick this off with something simple, easy, basic pattern, and we're going to make a flag, a garden flag, door hanging, wall hanging, whatever, for fall, using the most simple pattern there is out there, the maple leaf pattern. Well, it's not the most simple, but it's really simple. One part is a little tricky, but it's really, really simple, and it's fun to make. We're going to be making 3 of the blocks. You're going to need 3 of the blocks for this. And you can either use multiple fabrics for the leaf color or use all the same if you want. I'm using multiple because I just like that. And the fun part about this one is I just went shopping in my stash. I didn't have to go to the store for everything. I had what I needed. And it makes a really fun, simple block. It's based on a 9 patch. So I already made 2 of them, so you're going to have to watch me sew 3 of them today, the third one today. And it's just going to be a wall hanging flag. It's going to be very simple to do. What do you need? For each block, you need 2 3-inch squares of the leaf fabric. And you notice, there you go, I'm using leaf fabric. I have a lot of leaves. I collect a lot of fabrics that have fall leaves on them, so I thought I'd use them for this. Okay, so you're going to need 2 3-inch blocks of that, 3 2.5-inch blocks of the background, and 1 1.25 by sorry by 4-inch strip, okay, for the background, or for the leaf, for the body of the leaf, for this part right here. This shows up better on camera, okay, for these. And then you're going to need for each block a background fabric, and this is where you use the same background for every block. You can also vary that if you want. I didn't, but you can. And again, once you know this pattern, we're only going to do 3 of them and a wall hanging. Actually, this is a garden flag. And but this makes a really cool fall quilt if you want to make it. And again, you can use all the same for your quilt, or you can make it a scrappy quilt using all different kinds of leaf colored fabrics. Again, you want to kind of stick to the golds and the reds and the browns so that you get a really that fall coloring. And then you want a background. I decided to go with a blue background. It kind of looks like wind blowing because it gets a little windy and stuff. So you need 3 3.5-inch blocks of that, and 1 2.5-inch block for each block. So when you know how many blocks you need, figure that out. Again, I cut mine each individually. So for this, you're going to need 6 leaf fabrics for the blocks of the 3-inch, and you're going to need 6 of the 2.5, and you're going to need 3 of the 1.25 by 4. Then you're going to need 9 of the 3-inch for the background, and 3 of the 2.5 of the background. All right. This pattern is everywhere. It's very simple, really. Like I said, it's based on the 9 patch. You're going to have 3 rows you're going to have 3 rows of 3 patches each. So it comes out a 9 patch. It's very simple to do. All right. And I'm going to be moving my camera around a lot here, so if you get seasick or have motion sickness in any way, I'm sorry, just take it slow, all right? So you're going to start out, you're going to take 2 of your background fabrics and your 2 3-inch blocks. You're going to use your 2 of your 3-inch background blocks and your 2 3-inch blocks. And you're going to lay, and I'm doing the background on top, but you're going to lay them right sides together, okay? So you do that. This is half square triangles is what we're going to do, which I can do, and I like the effect. I hate making them. So you're going to lay those on top of each other, right sides together. And the reason I put the lighter fabric on top is because you're going to take your ruler, and I got a little small one here. This was free. I didn't buy a specially small 6-inch ruler. But use a smaller ruler if you have it, because you're working with 3-inch blocks. And again, you can make these, they've got patterns out there where 9-inch blocks, whatever. Okay? I actually probably should have made these smaller as I got going along, but we're going to go with 6-inch blocks. And you're going to lay your ruler, let me see if y'all can see this. You're going to lay your ruler so that you can draw a diagonal line from one corner to another. So just take your ruler and draw that diagonal line, okay? Draw that diagonal line and do the same thing on the other one, okay? Draw that diagonal line and make sure it's really straight. This matters, okay? Make sure you hit each corner and a little bit off there. Okay, and that's why I did it, because I wanted my line to show up. Because what you have to do, and let's bring this in a little closer. There, maybe you can see my sewing for once. All right, you're going to put your presser foot so the 1/4 inch mark is there, because you're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side of that line that you just drew. Okay, and you can chain piece this. Obviously I'm only doing one, so yeah, you put your 1/4 inch right there. Obviously I'm only doing one. If you're doing all three or a bunch, just chain piece all your half square triangles to begin with. The next part makes that less fun. Okay, so you sew on one side of that line, and then you sew on the other side. And I think I just snapped my thread. Oh, that's always fun. Okay, and you snip them apart, and I have to rethread my needle. It always does this on video days. It really does. And no, I have not figured out yet how to do the, I'll loosen my tension a little bit here. I'm snapping my thread, my tension might be tight. And no, I have not figured out how to do the automatic yet needle threader, but the minute I do, I will be overjoyed. All right, give me just 1 second. If this starts getting me fits, we're gonna have to stop the video and I'll come back. There we go. All right, run that through, pull that through. And then you've sewn on one side, you're going to do it the other side. Put your presser foot again right there on your line. Let's see if I can get that in there so y'all can see it. See where my presser foot is and see where that line is. Okay. All right. And you just do the same thing. All right, and now I'm going to set these other pieces aside here. Not quite done with the marker yet, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to set these other pieces over here out of my way. Now what you're going to do, move it back a little bit. I know, don't you love looking at that? Well, I'm still not where I want you to be. Okay, we're going to take your rotary cutter. Whoops, everything's knocking around here. Okay, take the rotary cutter. Let's see where I can get this now. Let me see. Again, whoops, and we're in the dark again. Okay. There we go. Again, sorry about this. I'm really trying to get this so y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay. A little bit further over. There we go. There we go. Sorry, folks. Again, I'm my own video person. All right. And you're going to cut. Remember that line you drew? It's getting a little harder to see because it's disappearing ink. Where'd my snippies go? Just use it here. All right. You're going to just cut on that line in between your two seams that you just sewed. So you get two triangles. All right. And again, cut very carefully. Don't cut through your lines. Okay. There we go. All right. Now the next thing we're going to do, next step, is we're going to square up. And I have a square up ruler, and you know me and specialty rulers. Apparently I'm not as serious about that as I thought, because I keep telling you about all these specialty rulers I have. Okay? So, this ruler is from Quilt in a Day. Various places have them, but I've had this one for a while. Because you're going to want to square up your half square triangles. See, half square triangle. Half square triangles where your half of the square is each a triangle. You're going to want to square that up to 2.5 inches. Now, how do you do that? If you look on this, let me see, you can see there's markings, and there's the 2.5 one, okay? You notice they run diagonally. The lines run diagonally, okay? It's really easy with half square triangles to do this. You take that 2.5 inch line and you lay it right on. You lay it right on the line between the two triangles, okay? And then you just cut around it, all right? And I have to do this all 4 times, all right? You cut and you spin it and you cut. And you got to do that for all 4 of them. So while I'm doing that, we're going to step out for a second. All right. All right, we're going to step out for just a second. I feel like I did that right. There we go. Okay. We're going to step out for a second. I'm going to fix some things, and when we'll be back, we'll do the next step. All right. Now we've squared up all our 4 little half square triangles, and I cannot imagine doing this for an entire quilt. It annoys me to do 4 of them. If you can do this for an entire quilt, great. The next step involves the last 3-inch square of your background. This is pretty simple. You take your, where'd my little ruler go? Take your ruler. Let's see. Hold that thought. There we go. That's how we do this. Take your ruler, lay it on there, and what you're going to do is, you don't need a line this time, lay your ruler on diagonally. Okay, see, got it diagonally from corner to corner. And you cut this block into, cut this block into 2 triangles. Cutting carefully from point to point. Don't cut your fingers. Okay, so you've got 2 triangles now. All right. Put that aside because I'm going to need that in a second. All right, you've got 2 triangles. Then you take your strip piece, 1 1/4 by 4 inches. All right, and what you're going to do, you're going to need your marker again for this. All right, you're going to need your marking piece for this. Take your triangle and fold it into fold that long side. You see that long side? Fold that in half so you get a triangle like this, okay? And fold and finger press. Finger press, finger press, finger press. And there's a reason for this, okay? And this is and then along that long side, where the center you just creased is, put a little mark. You're going to need to know where your center is. So just put a little mark with your marker. Again, you want to use the disappearing one because it'll go away. All right, make sure it disappears in your fabric. And do the same thing on the other triangle. Finger press, finger press, finger press. Draw your line on your center. Then you're going to take your strip and fold it lengthwise. So your short ends meet together, okay? Do the same thing, finger press, finger press. I don't mark the center one with this because it doesn't really show up with the purple and I don't want to use my chalk, all right? Let me see, that might show up because there's a little bit of orange there. Okay, it's very important that you match your centers, okay? Might show up a little bit on that side, so do that because you're going to need both sides. And you're going to take one of your triangles and you're going to match that center line to center line, okay? Basically centers to center, okay? And your piece there. And you're just going to sew it using your quarter inch seam allowance. Okay. Sew it there. And do the same thing on the other side. Match your center piece up, center lines up. Always putting your smaller piece on top, okay? Match up your center pieces, your centers, like that. And always put your smaller piece on top so the weight doesn't distort it and you don't lose it underneath it, okay? So then, there we go. All right, now comes, so that was the trickiest part because you're making the stem and you've got a piece that looks like this. Here comes the tricky part. You need to square this up to the same size as your other blocks. I'm going to cheat. Finding the center of this piece. Okay, so now this time you're going to fold it lengthwise so that the long sides are together. And finger crease, finger crease, finger crease. And the reason for that is you want to then take this and also do that. And basically you're using this piece as a square up block, okay? So you lay that on there so that your diagonal line meets the middle of that and just cut around it. That way you know you'll have the right size because you want to make it 2.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to use the ruler because it sticks out, but there we go. No. Okay, my pen was trying to escape. You just do that. Spin it around. Try not to move your center there. But that's just because with this weird stuff, I found it was really hard to use the square up block. Now you want to be careful that you don't cut your other background block because that would mess everything up. Okay? There you go. But this works just fine as long as you're careful and you cut it. There you go. And you have your 2.5 inch stem block. Now, and that's it to make each patch for the 9 patch. Okay? Don't need this anymore. So how do you lay this out? All right? It's very simple, the layout. Let's see if we can get a little closer here so you can see me laying it out. Okay? I do need to look at the pattern for that part. All right. Take all your pieces, your solids and everything, and your pieced pieces. You start out with your 3.5 inch background. That goes up in the corner here. Okay. Then you take one of your half square triangles and you turn it downwards. Okay. So it goes inside. And then the second half square triangle also goes inside. And I'm going to show you this in a second. Your next half square triangle goes up. Okay. Then you take your 2.5 inch, two of your 2.5 inch leaf ones and lay those out. And then you have your last half square triangle and that one goes up. And then there, and now where'd my, oh dear, there we go, lost my block. And then you put your leaf pattern, your stem with the stem running diagonal, okay? Again, I'm going to try to show you what this looks like overall. Let's see. There you go. There you go. See how it's laid out, okay? I know some of you are going to want to press this. Go right ahead, okay? So I'm moving that up there for a second. And now you just sew your rows together, one at a time. Take your background piece, your next piece with it down, sew it. This here, if you press everything towards the leaf fabric, not your background, because your background is probably something lighter. Okay, and you just sew it straight down. All right. Come on. I told you I've been having sewing problems today. Put that back. All right. Told you I've been having. It's only on, I swear it is only on video days. There we go. And then you take your third piece. Oh, that didn't sew at all. My blocks weren't lined up right. Always make sure your block is under there. There we go. If you do find you unsewed, oops, didn't get it all. Okay. If you find you didn't sew it well, just fix it. It's okay. There's no quilt police. Nobody's going to come and arrest you. Just resew it. All right. So you've got your piece down there. That one's sticking down a little bit. That's okay. All right. So we are going to need that in a minute. All right. Again, just sew this. Sew, sew, sew. Sew, sew, sew. So you've got your first row done. Oh, this goes together so quickly. Okay. And you want to kind of match up your ends here. If they're off a little bit, that's one thing, but if you got a big old one hanging off, it is not going to work well. Okay? It is not. So you just want to cut that a little bit, okay? Not really on here, so let's see here. Let's cut it a little bit so it's all straight. There we go. There we go. All right. That's your first row. I know my big old arm is going across there. And then your second row. Your second row, now I've messed everything up. Okay. There we go. I knocked everything catterwampus. Up again, up. So your leaf goes up. Solid piece. Solid piece. Lay that up there. Your last half square triangle going up. So, okay, so it goes up. Solid piece. Not solid piece. Well, I mean solid as in it's not a piece. pieced patch. Okay, so just 2.5-inch square. And then your stem, and you want your stem running the same way as your diagonal here because you want it to stick up into the leaf. Okay. All right. And yes, I am doing, for the stem piece, I do the seam outward towards the light, towards the background fabric, simply because it makes it a little flatter, because otherwise you're going to have pieces and it fits in there better. So now you've got your 3 rows sewn, and you're just going to take your first row, flip it over onto the second row, and sew. Matching up your ends and trying to match those middle the blocks, okay? If they're slightly off, that's okay. You kind of want to match the lines in your blocks. Yep, it's doing it again. I don't know why. Said only on video days, and that's going to give me fits right there later on. Okay. There. You're going to have these where the triangles came together. Open that, sew that open again, you know, so that the seams go out from each other. It's flatter that way. And I'm just going to sew this up here. And then you're going to open it out. Okay. Got that. You're going to take your 3rd row and flip it over onto the lower part, turning it this way to sew. Again, that's so that your smaller piece is always on top of the bigger piece. Wait, making sure you're not losing the smaller piece underneath. It's easier to make sure your edges are matched up, all of those things. And again, there it is. Just open that out, makes it a little easier. Okay. Your pieces may not. So, you're all done. You open it out. All right, this is what the block looks like when you open it all out. Okay, now my edges aren't quite straight. Well, on that side they are. Well, I did actually pretty good on this one, but there's a little bit off. So because of how we're going to applique this on, and yes, I said the magic words, applique, you want to make sure your edges are straight, because you're not going to be able to hide them by really sewing them to another block or in a binding or, you know, in a border. So you just want to make sure your edges are all straight. It's not the cutting board, it's the way. It's not the cutting. Okay. This one did a pretty good job. Okay, that side needs to be done a little bit. Okay, and again, just lay your ruler on your most inside edge and just trim off anything that makes it look that way. Okay, so now you've got 3 blocks done. All right, you've got the 3 blocks done. All right, and I want to arrange these, whoops, so that, oh, that's how I'm going to do that. Haven't really thought that out. I'm going to have 1 block going this way. These 2 are kind of alike, so I'm going to put this one that's really different in the middle. And it's also going to be pointing the other way. So these are going to be pointing towards the left, and this one's going to be pointing right, and then this one pointing left. Okay? And by pointing, because if you notice when you do this, it looks like it's on point. The leaf looks like it's on point, even though it's a square block. If you turn it on point, it kind of, if you put it on point, you get a horizontal leaf, and that doesn't look as cool. So, and I'm going to sew these 3 in a column. All right. I was going to do these individually, and then I realized how long the flag would be. And I've only got so much room between the flag arm and the ground. All right. So you just sew 1 block, number 1 block to number 2 block, opening up any V's, turning it towards the dark side. There we go. And then, oh, that came out nice. Okay. And then taking the 3rd one, which points that way, flipping it over onto number 2 and sewing it. Again, matching ends, matching blocks if you can. This is going to be an outdoor flag, and yes, I'm using just plain old cotton for an outdoor flag. It'll be fine. If you want, you could use this in vinyl. You could do this in, some outdoor fabrics. This tend to be expensive, but you can do this in autumnal colors using outdoor fabrics. But cotton will be just fine. Good old quilt cotton will be fine. Okay, so now you've got a column. What's the next step? All right. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but you need 2 pieces, and for this one, based on the size blocks, it's 12 inches by 27. So you need 2 pieces, your front and your back. All right. Why that long? I'll explain in a second. Okay. Leave all this other stuff out. All right. You're going to take one of your back pieces. All right. And about 4 inches down. And why 4 inches? Because you want a little bit at the top, and also we're going to turn over part of it that you can either put a dowel if you want to hang it on your door or a wall hanging in, or, you know, for the arm of your flag stand. So right side up, you're going to go about 4 inches down. I'm going to get my handy dandy ruler here. And it doesn't have to be exact, but I decided to get my handy dandy ruler. Let's put the 4-inch line on the top so we know. And we want to lay your piece. Okay. Lay your design right here. Okay. Lay it down there. Oh, I still got 4 inches at the bottom. All right. Now that's going to be a little more than I wanted at the bottom. Okay. All right. Oh, I know why it changed. All right. So you're going to lay that on there. All right. Get your handy spray base. Roll it up a little bit. Once you get it positioned, you know, you kind of want to center it. Roll it up. And just spray base this down. This is not the final step. You're going to actually sew this on, but you don't want it moving while you're sewing. I'm going to spray base really quick. There you go. Just a little bit. Just enough. There we go. Oh, my fingers. Okay. Now for this project, by the way, we are not going to do batting in the middle because I found that makes it really thick and hard to sew, and it especially makes the top a problem. So we're just going to base this on. We're just going to do this. All right. And I know what I said for the size there, but I don't want that much at the bottom. How much is at the bottom? I got about, let me see. That'll go better. Oh, about 3.5 inches. That'll be fine. 3.5 inches, 4 at the top. It'll be a little bit more at the bottom than the top once you sew it over. All right. So now we're going to do the next step. Ooh, I got sticky on there. Well, set your other piece aside for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to applique this, all right, on. And I want to use an applique stitch so it'll look really cool. So the first thing I have, whoa, spray base sprayed everywhere. This could get interesting. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I got to put my applique foot on. That's really easy to do. Oops. Famous last words. Okay. And it is mode and set up the applique on my sewing machine. I wrote it down. There we go. All right. Now we can applique. And just pick a point on your quilt, on this piece. It's not a quilt, your wall hanging. Pick a point and start sewing. Okay? Put that down and start appliquing all the way around. It's going to take a minute. Remember, we did 3 of these, and I found out my finished blocks, they were supposed to be 6 inches. Let me bring you in a little closer. Found out this was supposed to be 6 inches. Whoops, sorry. Hi, guys. Now you know what I look like. Sorry about that. All right. Just start appliquing all the way around. All right. Now, they were supposed to be 6-inch finished blocks. Mine wound up about 7 for some reason. Although, once I sewed them into a column, I probably lost a little bit too. So, it doesn't really matter the size. Just make sure when you cut your backing fabric, your background here, that you're appliquing it onto, that you have enough to have a little bit at the bottom and enough to turn over at the top without your leaves, there we go, leaves being right at the top. Maple leaves are the hockey team. Maple leaves are what we're sewing. Alright? Let me move my hands so maybe you can see the sewing machine a little bit better. I'm working on this, and I've got some ideas about how to make sure you can see what I'm sewing better. This is really easy with the applique stitch. It's just easy to do, following it along, making sure your fabric doesn't, I'm sure it's getting grabbed by the fabric, but that your fabric is not bunching up or anything. That's all you got to do as you go along. Alright? That's why you see my hands in the way as I'm really trying to make this do this. I am thinking of doing a, oh hey, I missed it show. If you want to see that, because you didn't see something when I did it, let me know. And like I said, I'm coming up with ideas to make it easier for y'all to see. You saw how much I moved the camera around this time. Wasn't really happy with that because I think you saw a lot of dead time. But we're working on it. All right, when you get to the corner, put your fabric down, put your needle down, lift your presser foot, swing the fabric around, and now you're going to see fabric, 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 okay, and continue sewing, making sure you get that corner and making sure you grab the fabric again. It's usually best when you get to the corner actually to have it in the applique piece, not the background that you're sewing on, which I messed that up this time. But that's okay. Again, get to another corner, swing it around, continue sewing. Yeah, this is the boring part where you sit here and watch me sew. Doesn't take that long. Oh, if you make one of these, post a picture on social media, tag Legal Quilts. I'm on most social media, so I'll see it. I'm even still on Twitter/X. I'm on Mastodon, so if you're on the Fediverse, you can look for me on Legal Quilts. If you're I'm on Instagram as Legal Quilts. I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Threads or Blue Sky, and probably won't be because I'm a convert to the Fediverse. And I've decided that I don't want one person controlling it. I know I'm still on Mastodon and YouTube. I'm still on Instagram and YouTube, but it is all right. So if you make one, let me see your effort. I'd like to see what you did for Scrap Summer too. Let me see what you did. I always like to talk to y'all. I know it's really hard to post pictures on YouTube, but you can tell me you did something and tell me where to find your picture, and I'd love to see it. Let's see. If you have questions, concerns, a lot of you do like to tell me your concerns. Try to be constructive. Try to be nice. Okay? Oh, and I'm doing this in a nice camel kind of, again, I'm appliquing in a different kind of, it's a little browner than cream because that's more fall. So we just want to make this as fall as possible. Okay, this is gonna like do strange things in a minute. It'll work. Almost done. Look, you get to see the whole thing again. Okay. It's gonna do funky things when we get to that spot. It'll be okay. Always press your foot down. I always forget that part. Especially my sewing machine tells me. Now, why do we have two pieces when you're just appliquing it on here? There's a reason. Mostly weight, and so that your stitching here doesn't show through the other side. Now, you could, if you wanted to, and especially like if you wanted to outline your leaves, sew the backing together, the backing and the front together. And that's going to do something funky there. Okay. Before you applique this on, and then you can, but it will show through. Again, You want a little weight because you don't want this thing. You want it to swing in the breeze, but you don't want it. But you want it to hang and not get all twisted up. And I did mess up my applique a little bit. Not perfect. All right, but again, there's no quilt police. All right. So you've appliqued your whole thing on there. All right. So then you're going to take your second backing piece. All right. And lay it right sides together on top of what you just sewed. All right. And all right. First, I'm going to change my feet back. All right, because you're not going to be doing applique on this. You're going to be doing regular stitching. It's easy to change feet. And back to my regular straight stitching. So again, you've got this, your top here. Lay this on here. And you want to, again, I usually do this with pins, but I don't have my pins right here. You've seen enough of me today. So mark your end here. You're going to want to leave an opening at the top, and we're doing this at the top because, again, we're going to fold that over, so anything interesting you do up here will get hidden when you fold it over. And you just sew, sorry folks, you just sew all the way around, straight stitch all the way around, 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving an opening at the top. Okay? And matching your edges, blah blah blah. You don't want any leftover stitches here. And that just hides your applique, adds a little weight to it in the backing. When you get to your corner, lift and turn just like you did before. This goes a lot faster than the applique because it doesn't have to do the back and forth. It doesn't have to go yeah, like the applique stitch does. So this goes a lot faster. All right. That's why we did it about 12 inches, because you're going to lose a little bit on either side. Yeah, I'm getting a little worried about the length. Yeah, see how low my garden flag is. This might be a little low. I didn't want to do it with 2. I could have done it just with 2, but I decided I wanted to do 3. It looks better. So if you're doing this as a door hanger, well, your door is pretty long and depends on where your hook is, so it could make a nice door hanger. But for that, you need a dowel. You need something to stick through the piece we're going to fold over, because if you don't, it all squishes in together, and then nobody can see what you're doing. So you want something that definitely holds the banner part out. Okay. Hold the, right. Want something, like I said, that holds it flat, straight, so it doesn't all fold in on itself. Okay. Now you can make your the backing, the back and the piece, you know, your background, your flag part, not the applique part, any size you want. You could have done it, you know, if you wanted to do a door, you could do it wide ways. If you want to hang it in a window, you can do it in different patterns. Of course, the length is, you want to make sure you have enough to fold over, but then how much you have on the sides, bottom, and between the top edge, you want to leave something for the top edge because you don't want your maple leaves folded over. You want to be able to see the whole leaf. So you don't want to do that. But, you don't have to leave as long of a length. You could do it a couple inches. You could do it an inch if you wanted, and fold over an inch. You don't have to do it as much at the top. And I'm probably going to have to do some trimming. And you don't want the bottom folded over, and you don't want it to be like right at the bottom. Okay? I'm going to do some things here. All right. Almost done. And then, don't forget to stop where you made your mark for stopping. I just lost it there. All right. And just stop. Touch thread. I don't know if I left a big enough hole. And turn it. See this? Turn it right side out. Okay? Let's turn it right side out. And the easiest way is stick your hand all the way down there. Stick your hand all the way to the end here. And pull your end through. Okay? See, if you pull the end through, you're not going to rip your top as much, and it goes through so much easier. And shake, 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 shake. So that you got you can see, okay, and poke out your little corners there. It's about a hand width at the top opening so that I can stick my hand in here, okay? And then do it at the bottom too. Poke out your hole, poke out your corners. See, poke out your corners. Stick your hand in there. Poke out your corners. Okay, so now it looks like a little sack. Got that done. Okay. Now you see where this top is? Just fold your opening together. And again, this is going to get hidden. Fold your opening together. Fold those together. Come on. It's fighting me. Hate when fabric fights me. Alrighty. If you're getting frustrated with your fabric and it's fighting you and you're not currently making a video, that's, you can just put it away and come back. Again, quilting's supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to be frustrated by it. Just fold that down, finger press it down. Get out your iron if you're so inclined to press it down. Oh, make sure your sides are all pulled out too. Just run your fingers along it. Okay, run your fingers along it, and kind of do this, and that pulls make sure it's pulled out completely. Okay, because you want that done too. You don't want anything folded in on itself. Okay. Except that part where we did up at the top. Okay. And then you're going to, as soon as you did all that, you're not going to be able to do it in the next step. This is the last step. Okay. I know, this took a while, didn't it? This is going to be a long video. Whew. Might be one of my longest ones. Alrighty. Thank you for sticking with me. You're going to take your top edge, fold it over an inch, okay? About an inch. Doesn't matter if you're exactly right on an inch, but fold it over enough so that you know the dowel or your flag, whatever, will fit in there. See, there's my fold over, all right? So that your dowel, your flag arm, whatever, will fit in there, all right? Keeping that piece that you left open unfolded, folded in there, not unfolded, folded in there. Because this is a little trick I learned while sewing masks, all right? You sew that, and then just don't sew up here at the top. Sew right here, okay? Fold it maybe a little more than an inch over, because you're going to use your, of course, wonderful 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? So that you're going to fold, not the fold, you're not going to sew on the fold, you're going to sew at the open end, okay? I'm going to make sure this is straight. This part you do want to make sure is straight so that it doesn't hang funky. You don't want it to hang on an angle. You want it to hang straight. Okay? And then you just sew that down. And what'll happen is, as you're sewing this, you'll catch that open edge that you folded over. And it'll be like it never existed. Alrighty. It'll be like it never existed. I know. I'm trying to get you in here so you can see the sewing machine. The actual sewing. Sew that down. Don't wrinkle your fabric or anything. If you don't want to get any wrinkles, that'll also make it hang funky. And you are done. That is the completed thing. Let's move this back a little bit so you can see. That's what it looks like. And you can just hang this. I'm going to go hang this in our on our flag that hangs in my garden. That, of course, because it's fall, is not really, yeah. But I'm going to hang this up in place of my summer one. So now I've got one for winter and spring. So now I've got one for summer, and now I've got one for fall. I'll do that once Ophelia passes. So that's what that looks like. There we go. We'll turn it sideways. So that's it for this edition of Legal Quilts. Support is always appreciated. Comments, like, subscribe, share. Share this among all your friends. I'm getting so close to 500 subscribers. So please share it with everybody. QR code at the end has all my social media and links to the website, which will also, links to the website and the Ko-fi will be in the show notes. Don't forget, Ko-fi has the fabric requirements for the tapestry quilt. We'll be cutting that next time. In 2 weeks. No, not the next one, because the next one we'll be doing I'll be showing you what our work in progress quilt is going to be. And then, oh no, next time is going to be a short because things will be happening. Okay, no. We won't be cutting next time. That's all I'm going to tell you this time. The one after that, we'll be cutting the fabric for the tapestry quilt. All right? So I will see you next time with a surprise, because even I don't know what I'm going to do at this moment. And have fun. Quilting should be fun. There are no quilt police. No one's going to come to arrest you for how you're doing things. All right? Until next time.